lives one day at a time. Kimmy Kim and Elations Radio. They're here to get your day going fine. Kimmy Kim and Elations Radio. Kimmy Kim and Elations Radio. Kimmy Kim and Elations Radio. And here's your host, Miss Kim Robinson.
How's everybody doing today? Charles McCutcheon, your favorite entrepreneur. I'm about to hit y'all upside the head as I always do. Mondays, we come on Elation Radio. It's all about understanding where we are, what we have to do, but taking action. The biggest thing is action and making something happen. So today I'm going to discuss government contracts and grants. Now, I do that for a couple of different reasons. When I started doing some research, I started looking for funding. Being that I'm in the real estate industry, I'm looking for funding for these houses and apartments and what have you. And I found that the biggest pot of money out there is in government contracts. There's billions, like literally on the government side of things, it goes up to about $500 billion with a B. And out of that $500 billion, they have money that's set aside to small business owners, like whoever's listening to this. Small business owners can get a piece of that funding. And I was amazed at how much money that was really out there, that they're just really, it's out there for the taking. Especially like if you're in construction, take that just for an example, $1,000. If you're in the janitorial services, cleaning services, the average contract is $446,000. So the funding is out there, and there's not, that's just like, the big funding, but there's other funding out there as well that we're not taking advantage of. And it's amazing to me how many people don't know about it, and those that do know about it but don't do anything about it. And I say that because whatever business you're in, 9 times out of 10, the government is doing something with it. You can actually sell your services to the government, from accounting to construction to legal to everything up under the sun is really something that the government will buy. I saw online Red Velvet Cupcakes. So it's not everything. Everything can be done. So what I'm going to do today, I'm just going to go over some things you can do, give you some websites that you can go to like today, and start the journey of, and it's a journey, it's definitely a journey of getting down to understanding government contracts. And what I do, I figure out, okay, well, this week is going to be government contracts. The other week was doing grants. The other week was doing nonprofit work. I'll be doing nonprofits for people. Then another week is real estate deals. And then, so I jump from week to week, and, what I'm going to focus on. It depends on my area and what I'm working on, and, what I have to help more people with. So this week I've been helping people with their government contracts and getting certified and everything like that. So I put out a lot of information, and people hit me up like, how do I get certified? Or I put out contracts. One contract was a $9 million contract, and I'm putting that out, and people say, well, how do I get it? And I say, well, are you certified? I'm like, what does that mean? And I say, well, if you have to ask me what that means, then obviously you're not certified. So now you got to go through step one and get your certifications. So your certifications kind of, you can use those certifications to where you can get into these government contracts. And give you a quick example, you have some certifications they require a veteran. Some of them require a woman. Some of them require a service-disabled veteran. Some of them require a certification called 8 Alpha or 8A. So there's different certifications that allow you to get some of these, what we call set-asides. And when you get these big companies out there, major companies get all these government contracts, they're mandated to give a certain percentage to a certain number of, depending on what you have your certification in. So you get a big company to get this big deal, and you are an accounting firm, and so they have to give a percentage to accounting firms that's 51% owned by a woman, 51% owned by a veteran, 51% service-disabled veteran. So it's 51% ownership, and you have your designation, and now you can apply to get a piece of the bigger contract, even though you didn't have to set up to get that $5 million contract or whatever the contract is worth. You can get a percentage of that. So if they get a contract worth $5 million, obviously they're gonna cut it down, and you're gonna get your percentage to do whatever it is you're already doing. So if you're already doing the business, government contracting is another stream of income to where you can be under contract for like a year. You can do 2 years. I just went to a procurement meeting, and that's a year contract that can be extended, and that contract right there is $500,000. I don't want to get the entire contract because, I'm a busy man, but I do want to be what we call a sub. So if you get the entire contract, you're prime. That means they awarded you the contract, but they can sub it out to people to let them work on it as well. And as a sub, you have a lot of accolades, and a lot of what you're doing is building up your business, and that's what I do with mine. I build it up, build it up, build it up. So my first thing I tell people is about a business plan. Nobody wants to do one. Everybody kind of just like, I get to it when I get to it. And I was that way. I just want to start. And once you do your business plan, it just gives you it's going to make you think. So a business plan is going to start making you think about what you need to do. People don't want to talk to other businesses that's in their niche. And I'm like, it's not like, for the most part, a lot of us are doing some things that's already out there. It's not like we just created this new thing, and that's far few between people that just create something out of the blue that's just so new that nobody else on earth has done it. And what I'm saying that for is it's okay to partner. So I partner with everything I do, from government contracts to nonprofit to real estate to writing books. I get with those that have already done it and see if I can get on their coattails so I can work with them and walk with them to get more information. And so I bring up, if you start in government contracting, I would say get that business plan or just start working with somebody so you can understand what's going on. There's so much information, and I'm going to give y'all some free resources that I use when I started just to see, I didn't know what was going on. And it's not going to be, it's like riding a bike. Once you want to learn, but you're going to have to get on, you're going to have to fall as well, and it's okay. And so as you go down doing your startup for your government contracting, we can call it a checklist if you want, you get your business plan, you start writing that and start working with other people so you can understand, okay, well, how are they getting these contracts? What are they doing? What do they have to do? You're going to have to get an entity, and I'm not giving you any type of legal advice. That's not what I do. I provide information. This is just, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an accountant. I'm not providing any legal information. I'm just providing some good gouge that you can take and do your own due diligence and make it yours. So I have my certifications as well that I had to go through and do what I had to do to get mine, and this is what I had to do to get mine. Depending on if you need a license, yours may be a little different depending on what industry you're working in. And so I got my entity set up. I did an LLC. I don't know which one you're going to do. There's a couple of different entities out there. I got my employment identification number set up, and I registered my name with the state. And, you go through register with the IRS as well, getting your EIN. You can go to, what is the EIN? Go to www.irs.gov, get your EIN. You're going to need a DUNS number, Dun & Bradstreet. You can go to check them out. And then I registered online once I got all that stuff, I went on to SBA.gov. It's www.sba.gov, and it's just I'm gonna tell y'all right now, there are over 60,000 sites on government contracts. You will be like I was all over the place. I will guarantee it because there's so much good stuff that pops up. You're like, ooh, I can try this. And let me tell you what happened. So I'm popping up. These companies are popping up. I was about to get this company to get my certifications and stuff. The next thing you know, one of them charging me $899. Another one is like $1,799, like $1,700. Like, that's crazy to me. So I started doing more research and finding out that a lot of stuff that we have to start out doing is free. And so that's why I give, little websites here and there. And so people can have a better understanding. And so everybody's going to go into their prospective industry, whatever that is for you. You may be consulting, you may be engineering, you may be IT. So you go in your prospective industry. And in that industry, there's codes, and it's called a NAIC or a NIAC code or NAIC code. And you can find those online. Every industry has a different code, and then it breaks down into like more specific, like if you want to really pinpoint what you're doing. But you're gonna have some type of code, and the government looks at those codes and say, okay, consulting is this code right here, engineering is this code, if you want to do landscaping is this code. So it's gonna have different codes. Everybody, if you want to do business with the government, you're going to register on the System for Award Management. That's called SAM.gov, www.sam.gov. That's everybody must register on there, and it's basically saying, okay, I'm in the system. Just because you're in the system, that don't mean you're gonna get anything, but you're in the system at least. So you have to determine your small business classification, whatever type of small business you are. You're something. I don't know what though. You could be service disabled veteran-owned business, a veteran-owned business, an 8A, a woman-owned business. You can be in a hub zone, and a hub zone is nothing more than historically underutilized business zone where you get, discounts and stuff like that, and they meaning government contractors, and they're looking to do business with you. They will work with you because you're in a specific zone, if that makes sense. So, if you're veterans, you go to a certain place. If you're not a veteran, you go to a certain place. So it's more on the research side of things. And some people do register in what we call the GSA catalog, General Services Administration catalog, in a sense, to where you can sell to the government. It takes some time. You got to prepare, your information to get everything set up, but it still can work. Everything that I do comes down to research. I go to a lot of meetings. I'm meeting out. What's today? I think I have a meeting I got 2 meetings this week, and one of them is on procurement, and one of them is on just general government contracting. So I go there and I meet all these folks and see, who can help me and how I can help people as well. So that's what I do on my time. The other thing is research. You got to research how to be a prime contractor, how to be a subcontractor. You got to talk to people in your state. You don't have to. You don't have to. I wouldn't be putting out a lot of money because, like I said, there's free resources you can get to, and a lot of people just don't want to go to the meetings. To get out and go to the meetings or go online, because they have online classes as well. Some of it's free. A lot of stuff is online. Some stuff will give you bad information. I've done enough research to know that, some is good and some is bad, but you got to get out there. You got to get out there and, start. That's my thing. So I go to these events and I go to network. And I develop lists to make sure and see who's in my niche, even ones who are not in my niche, because I like the good news and the bad news stories. So they give me, information on how they solved their problems and how their needs were met, working with who they were working with. A lot of people don't go to these meetings, so you're really not promoting your business and, asking for referrals, because just because they work in a certain niche, that doesn't mean that they don't need an account, because everybody's going to need one. So you don't know who you're going to meet at different trade shows, at different events, seminars. It doesn't matter to me. I'm doing one-on-one counseling. I got that set up as well. And you just I mean, I'd be straight. You can be straight up when you go in there. Just tell people, hey, I'm new. I'm just want to learn more, and some will help you, some won't. That's just how it goes. So every government contract, you're gonna have to submit paperwork, and that comes down. This is like the hard part for a lot of people, proposal, and I'm gonna gloss over it, but not to say I'm glossing over it, but proposal is no joke. And every proposal I've seen thus far is different. And it's different because you have different entities wanting things. What I find from the people who are asking stuff or asking for information from us, people, like I said, I just went to a proposal invite or procurement meeting. And in the meeting, the lady kept stressing, make sure you have 3 copies. Make sure you send it to the 3rd floor. Make sure. It's always make sure because a lot of people, they kind of trying to do it their own way. When you're trying to do it your own way, you're not going to win. So in the meeting, there was like 7 companies there. And out of 7, I think about 3 or 4 is going to put in for that particular contract. That's the one that was like $500,000. And so if you don't put it in the right way, they're not really going to waste their time with you only because you didn't do what they told you to do. And that's kind of like a red flag for those type companies. And they're like, come on, y'all. I asked you not to stay for this. I asked you not to come to my office. I asked you not to make phone calls to me. And they do these meetings up before they ask for the proposals to get all the questions out. And so you send emails in to get all your questions asked. And after the fact, there's like, if you didn't do what you had needed to do before then, you can't go back and start asking all these questions because they had all these meetings prior to the submission of the proposal or the documentation, and now you want to start asking questions, it's not going to look good for you. I'm just telling you that, it's not going to look good. So you really have to be forthcoming and, submitting things on time. And that's the same thing for the grant side of things. I'm going to speak on grants as well. But it's the same thing as a grant. You got to just do it on time. So when I talk to people on government contracts, you're not going to be doing government contracts every day. Tell you where you can fail. Now, if you do not get into the certifications and everything like that, all these different contracts that come out, like people ask me about this, I see a $1.2 million contract. How do I get it? Well, you didn't set yourself up to win. Now you got to go through the whole process. If you start the process early, get into the system, and then you just I set my emails up to where they send me information on contracts that meet my criteria. It meets my criteria. So I look at them, and if it fits my criteria, I go down that road. If it don't, I just keep doing what I'm already doing because we're already in business anyway. So if you're already in business, keep doing whatever you're doing, but you put yourself in a position to win a contract if you're already in the system. That just makes sense to me. Well, one thing I did, I had to go back and do is what we call true business credit. I have to bring that up because it's a part of funding. Government contracts is funding, grants is funding. It's all funding to me. So I had to bring up true business credit. And all that is setting yourself up to where you're separating your business from your personal. We all need to do that. You look at Warren Buffett does it. All these other big name folks, do it. And so we should do it too, to where we can get money when we don't have to use our Social Security number or our credit scores. That's all I'm telling people to do. You may have to go back and do it. I'm sure you do, because about 10% of us have business credit, true business credit, and the rest don't. And that's just neither here nor there, but you got to establish it at some point if you want to separate yourself. So some of the things on the government contract side, give y'all some examples. So you have veteran-owned small businesses. And you got 3% of the contracts are set aside for, then you have women-owned small businesses, and you have 5% that's set aside for those folks, for those women-owned small businesses. Then you have HubZone. I talked about HubZone. You have 3%. And when I say 3% and giving y'all the percentages, when I'm talking about from the $500 billion like 3% of 500 billion is set aside for hub zone. So, that's a huge number. That's a huge number. So you have different entities that's going to get in contact with you once you get into the system. Some companies going to hit you up as well. They want to work with you. I would say use all the free resources that you can. Exhaust those first, and then you go down the road of if you want to work with somebody. So that's what I did in my own. One certification I have, and it's, Virginia and some surrounding areas, is called a SWAM certification. And that's Small Woman-Owned and Minority-Owned Business Certification. And some contracts specifically will work with SWAM. And, you have to be SWAM to get this certification, so to get this contract. So that's why I went, down that road to work with those guys so I can, get into those contracts. One thing you're going to have to do is, I put out there the tax ID number. You have to get your tax ID number, your Dun & Bradstreet, your commodity codes, your NAICS codes, there's some federal supply classification codes. So I'm just going down, I'm just rattling off a list of things you're going to use depending on what state you're from. So you have to look at what state you're going to, you're from, and, you can actually use that. For those guys down in Georgia, y'all have an office down there that you can get with them, and y'all have the Georgia Department of Administrative Services do a lot with y'all, and y'all have a disadvantaged business enterprise that y'all can use, and that's like a certification as well. And that's the Georgia Department of Transportation give y'all that. But, every state, you can go down the list of what states provide and how you get it, blah, blah, blah. And that's what I show people, okay, well, you have to start somewhere, and that's where people information on that. I put some stuff online all over social media. You opt in if you want to get information and how you start. And I put some stuff online like today, and it's like 4 different sites. There's 4 different sites that you can use to get, free resources. And you can go in there and grab that from. And I put it on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and stuff like that. So you can get it there. I'm under Charles McCutcheon, just so you know. The other thing, grant-eligible agencies. So there's more than I'm talking grants now. There's more than $6.7 billion in grants that's given out annually by the public. And a lot of us, we go online and we search for these grants, and a lot of us come up short because there's so many websites on grants, just like government contracts. There's so many websites. It gets convoluted, it gets confusing. There's a lot of private industries that we don't know about. A lot of private industries we have no clue about that give out funding from, $2,000. See, a lot of people don't want to go down and get that $2,000 check, but I will. Stop playing. If it's a grant, I'll take it. So grants, this is what I've seen. Now, more grants are given out to nonprofits. Now, businesses can get grants. It can happen. It definitely can happen. With every grant, I don't care if it's individual person, I don't care if it's business or nonprofit. There's money out there. It's research. So I'm going to run down some things that I see and some things that people do wrong when we're doing these grants. And I say this, get as much information as possible before if you want to pay somebody, pay somebody. It doesn't matter to me, but at least have an understanding of what companies are supposed to do for you, whoever's doing your grants. Just have a general understanding. Not to say you have to get to a point where you're an expert. Just know what they're supposed to do for you. And you should know, people just hit me up today about some grants. And when I say, I told them, I said, well, know what you're asking for. Well, when you're asking for a grant, people just say, I just want a grant. Okay, well, what does your company do? You have a business plan? See, that's always going to come up. Be clear on what you want. You know, a lot of people's all over the place. They want $1 million, but the plan that they have is not $1 million plan. One thing we do not do enough of is researching the people who have money. Because people who have money, we will not contact those folks, and they want to give money, but we don't want to contact them, and kind of we just go down that road. So once you get a clear idea for your funding, and then you can match up, because some people will give to like a veteran, and some people won't give to a veteran. So if you're a veteran and you're going to a company that won't give to veterans, you're wasting your time. So you can research. They have websites and stuff like that, but you just gotta find them first. So there's a lot of research that's going to be done on your end if that's the road that you want to travel. The biggest thing on the government side of contracts and the grant side is the proposal. So you don't have proposals to do where you have to write up your story, and that's on that's both sides of the house. You have to identify the funders, and you create a timeline. You assemble your data, and you have to like dress up your proposal, and you're writing a story to these folks to say, hey, this is who I am, and you're telling your story because they don't know you. A lot of people don't tell their story. They kind of give like a half story. And I think for me, it's more about a relationship when you're doing a grant. I want to build a relationship with the funders. I want them to know me as who I am, why I started, what I'm doing, how am I going to be successful in this, how much money am I going to use, what I've already been doing outside of what they're going to use the money for to, give me the money for. Is you create this whole story, and you have to respond to them. And I see some people that don't respond. It's like they want to ask you questions for a reason. They're even thinking about giving you this money, but you don't want to respond or give the information that they're looking for. Because some people do it their own way, and that's in both sides of the house, contracting and grants. They kind of just do it their own way. Like, yeah, I'm just going to just figure it out. Like, well, they didn't ask for that information, so why are you giving it? So you have components of a grant, you have a proposal, you have a problem statement, you have objectives, you have evaluation, you have future funding, you have a project budget. So I'm just going to break down some of those things, just to give you, a snapshot on what they're doing. So the proposal summary is just basically an introduction of what you're seeking money for. And your statement or your needs assessment is, why do you need the money? Never assume that the reader knows anything about you. You have to use your expertise and explain it, and explain why you have a possible solution. You're not going to solve hunger, and don't try to put information out there like that, because they can pull your flag or whatever and say, you're not solving hunger. Come on now. Your objectives, you write down your goals and objectives and explain what your organization is going to do about the problem, what you hope to accomplish. And you can spell it out in specific results. Your evaluation, how do you assess your program's accomplishments? What happened? Where's the data? How many people did you feed? And, how many people did you train, and what was the result of their training? So once you can provide that in a budget, I'm telling you, that speaks volumes right there to a funder. Future funding, let's say you ran out of money from the grant that they're going to give you. How are you going to sustain yourself? And if you can't tell the funder that question, it's not going to be, you're not going to, bode well with any other, with them giving you money, because it's like they're going to give you this money, and then your organization is going to die. So why should they give it to you? That's kind of like, what they're asking. Your budget, the more detailed you can be, I would say the better. That's just me. And, how do you project your costs? Even if you budgeted before, you may need some people to help you out with this one, but, you have to look at your personnel costs. Are you going to have to, hire somebody to do a part of this, or are you working with another nonprofit? That is like an ace in the hole right there. When you can work with another nonprofit, and you can look at your project costs or your splitting costs or admin fees. I mean, everything that you can think of, even the donations that come in, you still have to put that down. And so, a lot of companies don't want to do that. And so you kind of losing. So I put online, I want to go through this, but I'm not going to. I put online like 10 tips you need for grants. And if you look down my timeline, you'll see a lot of information. So I'm not going to, go through that. But if you want the information, I definitely have it online. Or, Charles M. Speaks at Yahoo, Charles, C-H-A-R-L-E-S, the letter M, Speaks, S-P-E-A-K-S, at yahoo.com. I provide so much inside information, YouTube, blah, blah, blah. And so I say go get all the free stuff, y'all. It's out there for the taking, but we have to do it. I'm finding a lot of companies don't want to get their grants out there for us. We just have to be ready. I'm going to sum this up for the grants, and some of this stuff lapses over to the government contracting. So what does your company represent? Shoot, what is a grant? Some people don't even know what that is. You have to write that grant proposal. What problem are you going to fix? How do you develop your grant? What is your budget? How will your program continue to run after the grant runs out? And how will you know if the grant worked? If you can answer just those simple questions right there, you're going to be ahead of a lot of people that's out there. Just ahead of a lot of people that's out there that's doing stuff, that's doing a lot of stuff. And on the government contract side, you have to start. You have to get certified. You have to register. You have to do your research. You have to network, and you will have to do a proposal. And all that's in there. That's just a lot of information. A lot of information. So I kind of gave y'all a snapshot, and I'm going to stop right there. That was 30 minutes of hardcore, just information and some websites. And like I said, I put more websites online. You can definitely go get that information, and you can start today. You don't have to wait on anybody to do all this stuff. I just like providing great content from things that I've already done, from information I have already. And so it's just making it easy for everybody, or easier for everybody, as much as I can. I have the different certifications. I have the service disabled veteran certification, the minority certification, the veteran-owned certification. I'm working towards the 8A certification. I know some people that had 8A right now as well. So it's just a good thing to have when you have those people that's in your corner that's helping you out along the journey. This is definitely a journey. I sub, as far as grants, I work with a nonprofit. I have a nonprofit as well. And so working with those nonprofits, we get grants, working on like 2 grants right now, just waiting on them to get approved. One of them's $25,000, one of them's $50,000. Worked on some other grants as well. Personally worked on grants. So I do what I tell people we need to do. So people don't be like, well, did you do it? Somebody asked me that before. I was putting out stuff about a nonprofit. She was like, well, do you have a nonprofit? I was like, well, yes, I do. I'm glad you said that. Yes, I do. And so that's what we have to do, and I want everybody to win. That's what I want. So with that being said, my name is Charles McCutcheon. I'm a hardworking guy. I have a lot of different industries that I work in, but I work with a lot of people as well. I'm not a one-man show. In some aspects I am, but, I get with people and do real estate and building down in the Dallas area. That's not me. I'm not a builder. But that's what we have to do. I was just speaking to a lady today about real estate, and she was like, well, I don't know how to do this, this, and this. And I said, well, that's not your job. That right there, what you just told me about, that's the real estate attorney's job. And then you have the carpenter's job. Let them do their job. And everything we do, we have certain jobs we need to do and things we don't need to worry about. A lot of us are worried about things that we have no control over. Let those people do what they're supposed to do, and you do what you're supposed to do, and life will be better. That's how I look at stuff. So if you need me, charlesonspeaks@yahoo.com. I want to thank Ms. Kimmy Robinson, and I want to thank the whole Elation family because I see a lot of content that comes through, a lot of quality folks, and everybody's putting out good information. And the thing that we need to do is use the information. I'm going to pray us out. Father God, thank you for allowing me to come on here and grace your presence and give people information that they can use to further their lives. And, I know we're supposed to be living in abundance, but a lot of us don't want to take the action and use the tools that you gave us. Father God, look after those who have nothing. Look after those who's going through the struggle, those who want more. Please provide them the light that they need so they can move forward and then come back and help somebody else out. And, I pray. Amen. Get easy. I had a good time. Next Monday, Let's get it. Favorite entrepreneur, Charles McCutcheon.